It is working. And I will switch you to co-host.
All right, we going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I guess I will call a special meeting of the neighbors of Dunn County to order. Here we are on, what's the date today here?
18th.
18th at 10 a.m.
Yep.
So it's called to order, call the roll. We have all online, Coralie and myself and Larry Bjork. Larry's on the phone with me here. And so we have a quorum. And public comment, I assume there isn't any public comment. Okay.
No.
I saw Carmen say there is none. So items for us to consider, there's only one. Contingency funding request for garage doors, and in order for the neighbors and Carmen to use the contingency fund, our committee has to okay it. So, Carmen, it's to you.
All right, I will get up. I have a staff report about this. Let me, oh boy, how do I move that? I'll just get it up for my files. Oops. Sorry about that. I had it open. So there's a staff report about this, as it is a request to both this committee and then the Committee on Admin for final approval. So we had a situation at the neighbors about a week ago that one of our garage doors got damaged due to an accident. One of our golf carts hit one of the garage doors, making it completely unusable. That was in our west building. So when I brought this to Chris Corpola, the county manager, she had suggested requesting contingency funding for repair of that garage door or replacement. And then when we went through that, we looked at different options that would be the most cost effective in the long run, which we have listed below. First, I put out the policy of what contingency funding is for. Mainly for unexpected costs that we could not predict, things like accidents, damage, roof damage. An example of something that had been used in the past was fixing a squad car that had been in a car accident, things like that. So our request is for fixing the garage door. I have three options listed, which I'll have on the screen now. So the first option would be just repairing.
Excuse me, Carmen, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't either.
What is on your screen right now?
The agenda.
Right, the agenda.
Let's do that. Can you see it now?
There we go.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry about that. Okay, so on the screen now is the three options. It's part of the staff report. So the first option is repairing just the west garage door. So that was a garage door that was damaged in the accident. The quote that we got to just repair the current garage door was $4,570. So that was just for the repair. So it would be making that garage door functional again, as it currently is not. The upside of this is it is the lowest upfront cost and the lowest request for asking for money from contingency. The downside of this is that we have had significant issues with our garage doors over the past couple of months. In particular, they are household-like garage doors, so they're not made for the use that they have. They are not industrial garage doors, so they get used frequently throughout the day, going up and down for every food delivery as well as every supplies delivery. Anytime that maintenance has to bring something out to the outer buildings, or anytime that we are loading the buses for residents to go to outings, we use the garage doors. So they are used frequently, much more than what like URI household garage doors are used. And so we are anticipating having to replace them in the near future. So repairing it for roughly $5,000 when we will then have to replace it shortly also could add additional costs too. The second option is just replacing that one garage door. So that quote for just replacing the west garage door would be $12,000. So that would be fixing that garage door by replacing it with an industrial garage door. So the plan going forward would be to have garage doors that are made more for what we use them for. The garage door would be much sturdier. It would still look home-like. So when we had it quoted out, we had it quoted for something that would match the aesthetic of the building, but still be more industrial grade. So the benefit of this option is it wouldn't be potentially wasting that $4,500 on a repair when we might fix it anyways. So just doing the upfront complete replacement. The disadvantages to this is that fixing one garage door is more expensive because of the labor cost than fixing all three at the same time, as well as that cost may just continue to go up as general costs are going up. And there's no guarantee that the same models will be available in later dates so that they may not look uniform across all three buildings. And then the third option is replacing all three garage doors. So when we did this, it was quoted at $29,000 roughly, and this would be for replacing all three. So the advantage to this is all three garage doors would be uniform and function properly prior to the start of winter. One of our biggest concerns is with the significant issues we've had with our garage doors is that if one were to break in the winter, that would be a severe issue due to heating and keeping if we could not get the garage door down, we would have issues of storage in our garage and things freezing. And then the total project cost is significantly less if we replace them all at once. And then the disadvantages of this is obviously it's the highest upfront cost. So roughly $30,000 compared to the 12 or the 4,500.
So
Go ahead.
just a quick summary, because Larry is just on the phone here.
Yeah.
So Larry, the thing is repair one of them for 4,500, replace that one instead of repair for 12,000, or replace all three right now for about 30,000. So 4,500, 12,000, 30,000. Just kind of. And upgrading the doors no matter what, although the repair wouldn't upgrade it, right?
Correct. The repair would just be fixing the current door.
Okay.
Mm.
Go ahead, Carmen, you're going to say some more. I just wanted to
Sure.
make Larry, we get to see it and he didn't.
Sure. And this is also for, if you wanted to look at it, it is on the meeting link as an attachment too. So if Larry has that, he could pull it up. So the recommendation or request that Scott's on here as well. Scott and I had talked through the facilities team was doing the option 3 of the replacing all 3 doors. When we are looking at it, our current doors are, like I said, residential units and have had a lot of repairs over the past few months from our facilities teams. One of the biggest issues that we're having is the hinges are ripping off of the doors, causing them to malfunction and have issues going up and down. And then what that's been fixed with is some bolts in the doors to help the hinges. And then those have now also started to rip off the doors. So it doesn't leave us with much options for repairs if the only repair we have is not working. And in addition to this, there are also brakes on the motors of the doors. 2 of the 3 buildings, those brakes are no longer in operation. They aren't on the doors, and one is malfunctioning. I'm not a mechanic by any means, but when I spoke to our facilities team, they said that how to replace or fix that is that they've wound them tight enough that they hold. But what these brakes are used for is keeping them up when they're up and down when they're down kind of thing. So the issue with this is also a safety concern is if the fix of keeping them very tight were to not hold, the doors could go down when they're not supposed to. So we do transport not only goods and food through the doors, but people as well. So we do have a safety issue there as well. And then, like I mentioned before, one of our greater concerns was the issues we're having before winter and having issues with freezing if one of the doors were to get stuck up. And then when we looked at this as a whole, doing it all at once does save a little over $7,000 compared to fixing them one by one. And that's current cost with what we were currently quoted. But those also numbers could go up if we waited longer as well. So that was kind of my report in a gist. If there's any questions, oh, I forgot one thing.
Well,
Also,
no, let's, before you go on to the funding,
Sure.
let's, are there any questions, Larry or Coralie? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, these doors have been on since the place opened up.
correct.
Okay, and they've had, so one of them, just one has had some repair to it, or all three been have had repair to them?
All three have had repair
Okay.
Over the past years. They are original to the building. This was something that we had thought of doing in the near future for a capital improvement plan. I believe they're actually on for 2025, 6 and 7, I think. But when we had the issue with the one door, because of the accident of a golf cart hitting it, we have to fix that door in some way. It's not operational right now, which we do have to have them. It's how our food goes in and out, as well as for emergency purposes. It's a lot faster to get people out of that door versus going out a single doorway. But right now we're making it work, but we do need to replace that one. And then when we looked at the quotes, it does save significant money to replace all three instead of the one.
And I would be concerned with the winter weather coming on too. That would be a concern of mine. You know, things could just keep getting worse, and then you would get caught with it in the winter when it's cold and fixing it. And so.
Supervisor Bjork, do you have any comments or questions?
Something like this, I know the highway department offers stuff for sale through government surplus or whatever it's called. Would these qualify, the whole bunch of them, as a one unit offer as government surplus to sell them? Otherwise, you know, you would have I think a larger disposal fee, but if you can get someone to buy them and try to use them, is that possible?
Scott is on the call. I know he spoke directly with the company that would be replacing them. On the quotes, it did say that that included removal of the old doors, per the quotes. But
So
I don't know about selling.
generally, when a company replaces your garage door, they're going to take the garage door and dispose of it for you. In a situation like this, I could request that the garage doors be left with us. They are all scrap steel, basically. So if we tried to sell them and they did not sell, then we would sell them for scrap to recoup some costs. But I would think that putting them on Wisconsin surplus would be an option to list them. It doesn't cost us anything to try and sell them on there. Then we could recoup some costs on that. And I handle doing that for facilities and for the neighbors.
Well, I'm in favor of replacing all three of them, but I would like to see Dunn County be able to possibly, you know, if the thing is, you know, the company that's installing them, you know, there's a charge in there for disposal. So if we can save the disposal and off and maybe make $500, you know, I think we should go ahead with the project, but I think we ought to think about the value of the doors that are coming out, and if there's anything to value other than scrap, we'll find out.
Yes, I agree, Larry, that it's always an option to try and sell to recoup costs. So that I can work with the company and definitely do that.
Thank you. That's
Are
for
they-
me, all I got.
Are they a local company?
Yes, the company that we got the bid from is local out of Eau Claire.
Okay,
They're real, I mean, they're all over, so, overhead.
Yeah,
So Larry made his wishes known. We'll vote in a minute, but Coralie, what are you thinking?
oh, I'm thinking on Larry's line too, to replace all three of them.
Okay, so
Every-
let's have Carmen go and tell us how they'd be funded then. Is that what you can do next, Carmen?
Sure.
Okay.
So this last paragraph I have in here is just about contingency funding. I worked with the finance team to just double check that we had 30,000 or 12 or 5,000 in the budget for contingency funding. So the county's budget this past year for fiscal year 2023 for contingency funding was a little over $100,000. So far, year to date, only $3,156.41 has been attributed to that account by any county in the department. I did have the GL code listed. And then this means that there's still $97,000, a little over $97,000 in the contingency funding. So I included that just to show that there still was enough money to cover this, because I didn't want to go through this process if we weren't able to use, if there wasn't enough money in the contingency fund for it. So there is still enough in that fund if it gets approved.
Okay, and Carmen mentioned the uses of the contingency fund. An unexpected expense where your planning has been good, but it just happened. In this case, they plan to replace them in the CIP, capital improvement plan. Another reason to use contingency funds is a one-time chance at something really good, and that's not this case. And another one is there's no other choice. You can't really wait. And it seems like this has been unexpected. It's been planned for on the capital improvement plan, and got to do something. So it seems to fit that. And Chris Corpola agreed. You worked with her, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So any other comments, questions, discussions before we get a motion?
Mhm.
Should have done that first, I suppose. I would take a motion to approve replacing all three doors using the contingency fund with the caveat that we will try to recoup some costs with the old doors, and Scott will decide that.
And I second that motion.
Okay, Larry, did you first it?
Sure, I sure did. Yeah.
Okay.
I was right there, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, so all three voted aye, so it's a good to go to the admin committee next, Carmen.
Okay, and I will adjust this report to include that the NDC committee voted on option 3, as well as the adjustment to keeping the doors and trying to sell them.
Okay, and yes, and I think we can give Scott enough leeway that he will do the best. So if they said we'll take them and we'll give you some savings, or if
Sure.
so, yeah, Scott, we know that you will do a good job on that. So, okay, great. Then anything else, anybody?
Oh, we're still having our meeting on November 14th, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I apologize for the confusion in that email. I saw that on our calendar, the public meeting calendar had next week's meeting off of it, but the Google and Outlook calendars did not. So when I went to delete that, it added some confusion. So I
Good job.
apologize.
Yeah, good job. We need to be confused a little bit more than usual.
So 'cause
this,
there's a housing meeting as well that morning and time.
yes, and probably a standing committee would take precedence, but
I
you
would guess
decide
so.
on what's on both agendas and what you need to do.
Okay. Just wanted to check.
And This meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.